Hey everybody, welcome. It's Sarah Upside Down here. I wasn't planning on doing a live video for my first 1 in 2 months, but technology is like, this is what you're going to do because obstacles. So I'm just pushing those out of the way so that I can actually get on here and do a little video. And if you haven't been here before, or you're new, or you start following for other things, I do videos on autism, ADHD, mental health, and just some other things that I like to throw in there every so often with personality and psychology stuff. But today, the subject that I wanted to kind of go over um, is something that I guess is somewhat trending. I don't even know if that's what people say these days because I'm so out of the loop with all the stuff. But a couple of different people that I watch have sent in or made videos on YouTube about being questioned on not looking autistic or being told, that they don't look autistic. So I'm kind of going to give, I guess, like my perspective over maybe some of the things I've gone through or friends or whatever, and how I've tried to sort of turn around how that conversation goes, which has taken me a while to get there because of the process of whenever I first found out about being autistic. So, and I just wanted to give a little information. My words are all jumbled. I'm super tired today. Allergic to mornings, and it is still morning, even though it is 2 o'clock. It is still morning to me. But anyways, I had kind of taken a break, which I don't remember if I gave any warning that I needed one. But if you have been watching for the past couple months, like I needed one from social media, period. And even if I wasn't going through like really depressing, like traumatic experiences, it's good to like take a break every so often. I just needed a longer one. And then my channel had been taken over by some of the stuff that was going on for a while. So I'm trying to get back into that and put some new content out. And some of the subjects that, like, if you've looked up other videos from other autistics and stuff, some of the subjects are the same, but if you notice, if you listen to different autistics, then the information comes out differently. It's not always the same. And that kind of has to do with what I'm talking about today, with there being a look or not being a look to autism, and what that probably means to other people, or how their brain is sort of perceiving what autism is, or why they are saying, maybe that they don't understand, or that someone doesn't look autistic to them. Or for me, it's like people telling me, because I guess like I am in the high functioning category, even though I'm not in a lot of ways, that I don't look autistic. And that's kind of where a lot of this stigma and stereotypes have came from. And somewhat going on things that don't really make any sense, because you make a comment about someone not looking autistic, but then you don't have a lot of education on autism. I mean, that's how it is a lot of the times. It's either you say that because you don't have a lot of education on autism, or ADHD or neurodiversity, period, or you do have information, or you've gotten information from other people, not necessarily like proven sources, and you're kind of like, well, this is what I've heard autism is, and so I'm going to latch onto that belief or idea of what that is, and then I'm not really going to actually know from an autistic what autism is. And there's a lot of, like, I feel like skewed perceptions of autism because of that. I mean, like, a lot of people not doing research or their own, or thinking that this is what everybody thought it was, and so what's the point of me needing to educate myself or whatever. And that's like not anything against non-autistics or neurotypicals or anything like that. It's just that's sort of how the world is, not with just autism, but honestly with ADHD as well, because I have both. And I found out later, even though I was diagnosed with ADHD in high school, that that's not even what I thought it was completely. I have combined types. Some people don't. And I'll do an ADHD video alone eventually. I still have been wanting to do that because there's so much stereotypes and stigma also around that. And I was even uneducated on ADHD somewhat, because there was different I would say specifics about it. Like, I didn't know that it was hard to get an ADHD diagnosis, because I got mine in high school, whenever I was a junior or senior in high school, and my stuff was so apparent from having like super hyperactive and very inattentive ADHD that like they saw that so much that they didn't even see that that was a comorbidity to me being autistic. They just saw, these specific things over here. And for other people that maybe only have ADHD, they're still not able to go through the process of getting diagnosed and stuff like that, even with that. And it just was in the past year, after doing research for a few years, that I realized how much people struggle to even go through, the ADHD process, or to get help or anything else. And back when I did that, they just sort of did like a questionnaire type thing here and there, and then, gave me medicine or the Adderall or whatever that they try to put you on. And I had no idea what I was doing it for, like no idea what was, like I wasn't even educated myself on that. And I didn't feel comfortable then. And I don't feel comfortable doing that now, just taking something and no one telling me anything about what's going on, because it does affect you. And if you have autism as well with your ADHD, then you're not going to like look the same as someone who doesn't have ADHD and autism, or maybe someone who has more OCD things and autism or whatever. So like each person has different things going on, just like a neurotypical. And different neurotypicals have different traits and different ways of communication, even with each other. Like not all neurotypicals just like hang out and never and always agree and like communicate the same way all the time. So there's sort of differences all around. These ones just stick out more to society because I feel like it's not something that's like normalized in a lot of ways. And anyways, ramble, blah, blah, blah. But there is not like a physical feature, like there is some disabilities and stuff that show physical features of a disability. But for autism, there's not. There might be things that people do or stim more or show things that I guess people would say look autistic, but that's not like my face and Sheldon Cooper's face. I'll just throw that out there. Or, Rain Man or something else. Like there's not something up with their face that is like so distinctive from mine, just like mine isn't very distinctive from a neurotypical or somebody else. So if you like have no idea about any of that, then you really just need to go research more before you maybe bring that up. And a lot of people don't even think that it hurts autistics' feelings. If you say they don't look autistic, they're like, well, then that's probably a good thing, because then, why would you want to look that way? And that is very hurtful. And they don't say it all the time, even though that's what we feel. They don't say it all the time that it's like, I'm intentionally wanting to say this to you because I want to hurt your feelings. It's more like society has like not educated enough people or even the doctors, or when people are taking their kids in because they're confused on maybe some of the things that they're doing differently or whatever, they're not educating them or even telling them that, that this child may be autistic or whatever. Or when they do, they're not educating them a lot on what that even is. So, if we don't have our own education and stuff like that, then these people are going to, just say that out of what society believes autism is. And we're going to take offense to those things naturally, because we don't see autism as all negative. And for me, like, mine's different than someone else's, just like I said. So if someone says that I don't look autistic, I'm like, you mean that I don't look like this person? Like, we're all supposed to be the same if we're autistic? We're all supposed to stim the same way? We're all supposed to have equally amount of struggles? We're not supposed to be able to talk, be able to be articulate? Because there's some of us that are highly verbal and highly articulate, and there's some of us that are not, and there's some of us that have selective mutism, and there's times that I can't talk, even, believe it or not, and I'm someone that doesn't really shut up. So it does happen. It does. And there's also, of course, the functioning labels, and I can make a whole video really on that. But the reason why they don't 100% make sense isn't because this person that has to live at home and have help forever and me are seen as two totally different people. So how do you know I don't need help? How do you know I don't have some of those struggles? Why? Because I can talk? Because I can verbalize more often than not? Do you see whenever I'm mute? Do you see whenever I'm struggling with words? Well, probably, because I do it on here sometimes, but that's besides the point. You can't see my struggles, and that's why it's also known as an invisible disability, because what autism isn't just all about what is on the outside. It's not all just about this, because this can easily be masked, which is why there's like 50,000 different masking videos out there about autism, and females especially being able to mask more, whatever, and like also not being diagnosed for this and that, because we can put on a face. So if autism has a look, then how come there's so many videos about masking? Because we try to look normal, or what quote unquote normal is in society. So how does that even make any sense that autism was have a look, whenever I could look different every single day if I chose to? I've changed my hair, so whatever. But what I'm trying to get down to is that this person may be not able to verbalize as much or much at all, and I may be able to do that a lot. And I'm only saying these two because I feel like it's like there are so many things, but like these are what people try to put on this like linear track, and it's just not, it doesn't make any sense, because this person is probably way more capable of doing certain things that I cannot, that I'm very weak or struggle in. This person may have a great attention span, maybe lack in social. Maybe I'm a little better in social, and I, have no attention span. I don't even know how I'm doing this video, whatever. And it's the same. It's the same for neurotypicals. I mean, I'm not saying that they have the same like struggles or anything like that. But if there's a neurotypical and a neurotypical person, are y'all the same? Or do y'all are supposed to look the same? Is your face supposed to look? Are you supposed to have certain features? You know what I'm saying? But think of it this way. If you were to look at the insides of a person, where all the truth is, behind all the masks or whatever other people use their entire life, what do you see there? Do you try to find out who they actually are? Or do you put your own labels on them because you want to make sense? And instead of finding the truth, or what may be, take a little bit more work or whatever, you just slap this on there so you can make sense of it and then be done with it. Well, that's not really a good way of communication to me either, because I want to make sense of it. And so if someone else isn't trying to communicate and work with me, then how is that really equal either? And we're supposed to be the ones who are not good with reciprocating. It's funny. I mean, I'm horrible at it. If I get like really into a subject or whatever, I'm not going to lie, but it's great having someone else that's doing the same thing. And we just kind of like communicate that way together, and it's totally fine. But I do have to work really hard when I'm with someone who doesn't communicate that way to like get myself to take a break, like, have a moment. If I'm excited, just wait till they get done speaking. Like, I have a whole list of things that I have to do to communicate on a like regular or whatever front for other people. But yet it doesn't seem to reciprocate back that way from, people that think you're only supposed to communicate, one way. So, and that really does. I mean, it really goes to everyone. We may have communication differences, but the word is differences. It's not wrong. So there is wrong ways that I communicate, but there's also wrong ways that, neurotypicals can communicate. And the only way that that's going to work to communicate and understand statements like "you don't look autistic" and be able to process that in the right way is if both sides are doing that. Because if this person only thinks autistic is a certain way and they think that it's valid to make that type of statement, yet this person's of course hurt over here and wanting to get in defense and wanting to just slap that down because they know that hurts and it doesn't feel right, then there's honestly nothing going to come out of that. I'm like, but not going to work. It's just not going to work. But if someone comes to me and they obviously seem not very educated, and I don't mean that to say like, hey, you're dumb because you don't know this stuff. It's more like I need to give them a little bit more, I guess, grace, leniency sometimes, because I'm definitely one that wants to be like, no, but I do care about other people's feelings too, because it turns out that autistics do have empathy. But if they were to approach me that way and say that, how I used to react whenever I was first finding out about autism, like I was really on the defense because I didn't know a lot of this stuff my entire life. I found out about it. It cleared a lot of things up for me. It gave me clarity. It helped me fill in the holes where I was like, okay, this is ADHD. What the heck is all of this over here? Like, I need to put this all together. So when I figured that out about the autism and stuff, like, it helped me find labels, not so that I could like just for fun put a word on everything, but so that I could even understand what I did, how I communicated, what I needed to work on, because they're not all good, but they're not all bad either. So I had to figure that out because I wasn't educated from someone else. So, the whole saying, if someone can't do it right, do it yourself. Well, that's what I did. And I found out I was autistic. And then a year later, I was diagnosed with both that and the ADHD combined. And so self-diagnosis is valid with that too. But did I walk in? He was immediately like, nope, you don't look autistic. No, they actually have to go through processes to figure that out so that people are correctly educated. And if the educators are giving out this information that helps everybody, then more people would know that, like, you don't just look autistic. I mean, hold on a second. Let me do a fun show. That's where my son gets it from, I guess. All right. I can't even see right now. But, like, yes, I have all these things. Yes, I have a train hat. Yes, I like trains. Yes, I like steampunk. Would most people guess that? Have they been in my house? Do they know everything about me? Look, I'm a total wreck, honestly. But just because I don't walk around like having a certain look or whatever, and my other friends too, doesn't mean that being told that is okay, or because I'm able to function enough to be around people for a certain period of time doesn't mean that I don't go home and have a complete meltdown because it was too much and I didn't realize it because I'm autistic. Okay, that's I would say a negative thing. But I also painted my kitchen and made this rod with all these hooks on it and pots and pans and made mountains in my kitchen and like all this fun stuff. Because those are the good things that come from my autism. And does everybody do this? No. Like my best friend that's autistic, she like creates these amazing games on her computer and they're very detailed and she puts it all together, and I want to figure it all out because it looks really cool, but it's not really my thing. But I'm still interested to look into it because it's still a way of like building and creating or whatever. So does she do this stuff? No, not necessarily. Do I do her stuff? No. Do we like some of the same things? Definitely. Do we get mistaken as sisters because of how we look? Yes, but that's not because we're both autistic. That isn't even, no, it's because we're built the same and we're both really like lanky. So T-Rex. Anyways, this is not meant to be a rant video, or anything like that either. I'm just trying to help people understand that there is a different way of communicating these type of things, and that also not everybody is a little autistic. that's not really there either. Maybe you have a parent that's autistic, so you like most people, and like how you learn, you copy after different people to figure out how to do things, and they're super systemized and rigid or whatever with their schedule, and so maybe you're a really organized person and do things like that, but that doesn't mean you're autistic. Not everybody's a little bit autistic. That's another saying that kind of goes with you don't look autistic. So how contradictory are we getting with this? Because me even verbalizing these things, it's like, okay, wait, everybody's a little bit autistic. You don't look autistic. Well, does everybody look a little bit autistic, or is nobody autistic? I'm just like, which one are we going with here? And it may not seem very important to get that information. I wouldn't say like correct, but like, I would say like maybe asking in a different way. So if I'm the person on the other side, I would say, oh, you just told me that, you're autistic or you're on the spectrum or whatever. Well, that's interesting because maybe I thought they were supposed to be this way, but you could tell me something about it to where I can have some clarity. Or the other, the person, instead of us getting defensive, which I'm not saying everybody does, but it does hurt our feelings. Instead of us saying, well, you don't know anything about it and you must just be ignorant, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Not very nice things. Just say, I don't think that maybe, you have the right idea, or maybe somebody else told you what this is, but this is how autism is for me. If you'll sit here for a little bit, maybe I can help you understand what that is in my life, either my strengths or my struggles or whatever, and how that kind of combines to my autism. Obviously expectations there, but what else do you do a video for other than to try to get something funny or informational out? I don't know. But it's just been on my mind for a couple weeks or so, and then seeing some other people sort of post about that. Because there's still days where I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I know that I do this and whatever, but maybe this person doesn't believe it, they don't understand or whatever. And I'm just like circling around my head. And what it comes down to is that I end up doing something that I would say, someone would say, oh, that is very autistic or whatever. Like, I'm not communicating. I want to hang out. I'm just kind of walking around you really close by, kind of like Abed, which is like one of my favorite, more realistic to me characters or whatever on a show, Community. And he's hilarious, but like he just sort of like walks around, and he isn't always like saying like, what he wants to do then or whatever. He's just sort of following the group and sort of pops up all funny every so often. That's totally me. Nobody even knew I was like half a foot away from them. And then I'm just there. And I'm not saying, hey, let's go do something, or can I be with you guys? I'm just walking into the circle and standing there, and then I may randomly laugh or something. And, whatever. That is what I've done for years, for a long time. And it's funny watching those characters that I would say are like more realistic to maybe how more people on the spectrum are than, these characters like Rain Man or whatever, that everybody thinks that this is exactly how it is. And if you're not like how you are on TV, because everything on TV is completely true, oh gosh, then yeah, you can't be autistic. I don't know. I could talk about this for a while, but that's sort of what I was wanting to talk about today. And then I'm just like a little visual of something. Like I have this gray shirt on, allergic to mornings, super gloomy, like, but I'm most of the time wearing black or gray. And I would say on the outside, someone would probably think they like really dark clothing and they must be this way or whatever. When truly on the inside, I'm like rainbow dash or something, and just flying around, zooming around the place. Rainbows all inside, brains like electrical signals just shooting off left and right all the time. And I just somehow survive and manage that way or whatever. But on the outside, it's just this, and that's not all the time, but we just don't really know what someone else looks like on the inside. And when people have chronic illnesses and things like that, yeah, raise your hand, because I got those too. You can't feel their pain. Does everybody have fibromyalgia because they have whatever nerve issues? I'm sorry, I just keep going with it. But like, does everybody have this type of chronic pain issue because they maybe feel the same as this other person? Or, oh, your back hurts a little bit today, I guess you're a little bit scoliosis. So yeah, I'm not trying to be super sarcastic. It's just that's how it really is with people with invisible disabilities. And some are, really do feel disabling. Sometimes my autism can be very disabling because the ADHD with it, the anxiety that all brings at times, and a lot of unknown that can cause that. But when you have an invisible pain or invisible, just something that's inside, other people can't see, they can't see how you think, they can't feel your pain. It's hard to even explain. That doesn't mean that it's not real. It's just like mental illness too. That's why I talk about some of that too. Just because people can't see that I'm depressed because I go around looking like a firecracker, sounded super redneck just then, but like, because I'm wired to be hyperactive, that like, I'm supposed to just be positive Patty, and I'm kind of a pessimist. Okay. I'm a walking contradiction. So whatever, join the club. It's very small. But I have to try to understand myself and work on me and educate myself on stuff that I don't know about so that I can figure it out, so that I can try to put out better information. And that does take a lot of work. But just because I'm autistic doesn't mean I'm not capable. Disabled doesn't mean completely incapable. Like, I'm disabled more in other areas than I am in some. And whenever I meet like other autistics or people on the spectrum, I'm not like, well, hey, you're autistic. So, and you know, I like trains. So I guess you like trains too. I mean, we're not the same person. I really like this hat though. It's legit. Choo choo. That doesn't mean we're the same. That doesn't mean we like the same things. No, I've been obsessed with like tigers and owls since I was a child. And I'm insanely obsessed with psychology and MBTI personality and all that kind of stuff. And some of my other friends can like take apart a computer and put it back together in 5 seconds. Neither of us, we're not all geniuses. We don't all have this insane IQ. Now, if you ask me about specific subjects, my IQ is like this, but not everything is going to just put it in a box. And I was talking to a friend today, and it kind of like brings up that subject of like being put in a box. And we were talking about, you know, personality types and stuff like that. And it's like, you can't take, you know, and I'll use myself as an example, but you can't take an like basically 30-year-old adult who has been through that much time and think about someone going through even more time and compare them to a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old or a baby, even when they start, you know, sometimes start diagnosing with autism and different things. And that person has the perception of knowing their entire life. And then a 30-year-old adult did not basically know for 20 some whatever years. And this person maybe had coping stuff or still, you know, they might have known about it, but they still had all the things that were hard because society's not built around them. So even though they knew that not everything's perfect. And then you have the perception of like, you know, where I came from, not finding out, also going through different traumas and moving and, you know, instability with growing up and dysfunction and different things like that. And they still had all their autistic traits at that young age. People were educated. Obviously, they didn't even find out that, you know, some of the people I know in my family that are on the spectrum. And so they definitely weren't going to about me. But you can't take this person and this person that have had to live totally, completely different lives, both autistic, one not knowing, one still maybe struggling or maybe making all the better grades, maybe getting the right help, which isn't true for all that find out when they're young either. And this person not knowing anything, but thinking that something's wrong with them entire life. Talk about rejection sensitive dysphoria. We'll go into that one day. And they're supposed to look like the same person. I'm sorry, but excuse me, that's not going to work. Because if you want to talk about reality and concrete, there's nothing concrete about that. So therefore, this person's going to pick up different coping mechanisms. This person's probably, you know, as some of them that I know anyways, that are my friends, they knew maybe at a younger age. And so they dove themselves into all the schoolwork, all the work, all the stuff and things. And they didn't try to really like worry about some of the social groups. And like I said, that's not all of them at that age. That's some of the friends that I have. And then there's me who like masked forever and tried to fit in and like totally flunked through most of my school years and felt like a total idiot, felt like I was dumb, had something wrong with me. Basically, I'm just not going to be useful later in life. And then these people, two types of people hang out. Well, guess what? That's my best friend. And we are the most alike in so many ways because of the autism side of things, but we're still two totally different people. We're still not the same. We don't look the same still because of that. We don't cope the same still because of that. Did I read about all of those things? Well, some of it, yeah, partly, but some of that's just like known, when you just know that everybody is different, even if they're categorized into the same group. Well, I was a floater, I was a floater in school. I never like stayed in one group. I kind of had my main group or whatever because we were all misfits and we just like somehow floated over that way. But I never like made myself confined to any specific thing. And even though I'm an advocate for autism and it's important to me, it's part of my identity, not the whole thing. I didn't put myself in a box. I didn't know if I was going to like wrap around back to that because I don't know where I went just now with all of that. But I never put myself in a box then, and I won't now. I won't put myself into an autism box. I won't put myself into an ADHD box because I'm still a whole person. I'm still a whole person, and I'm not, I'm not just what's in here. And even when it comes to like personality and how you act and stuff like that, you have to really figure out, are you doing that for other people? Are you doing that for, maybe isolating because of wanting to do more things by yourself because of what you've been through with other people, whatever, because of the miscommunication, because of the misunderstanding, whatever that is. You have to learn about yourself and try to learn how to communicate with others about it. Not just say, throw up the finger and be like, you don't even know what autism is. Peace, because you just missed out on a moment that you could explain to this person what it is to you. But you just flipped out and got mad, and now there goes that bridge. It's probably burned for a second. Maybe it'll come back around if you're lucky. But that doesn't always happen. It doesn't. And a lot of my bridges in the past were burned because I didn't know that I was autistic, and I did have communication issues and differences and things like that. And if I wouldn't have gone through the journey of finding out about being on the spectrum, then I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know anything that I needed to work on or not work on, stuff that I needed to thrive in, like let it explode, like all my creating stuff all over the place. I would have just like quit, said, forget it. Sorry, I was reading these comments over here. Autism does not have a special look. There are no identical autistic people that I have come across. Your eclecticism is your gift. Bless your day. Oh, that was so sweet. Yeah, Sarah. So good to see you on. Instead of wondering what was wrong with me, it was helpful to become educated and to understand the masking, etc. Yeah, definitely. This is an insanely long video. I'm winging it today. I tried to make like 3 videos. My phone messed up on all of them. I almost had like just a meltdown about it and threw it because I was like, screw technology. This is not my day. But I am a very perseverous autistic person, and I will do what I'm going to do that I wanted to do in some way. So I got on live, and I was still able to make it to see some of y'all's cool comments today and stuff like that. But yeah, this has just been a topic that has been on my mind for a good week or so now. And I think it's because for me, I struggle with that internally more. And, you know, if you're willing to admit some of your stuff or whatever, then that will probably make your life better, because it turns out nobody's perfect. But, you know, but the way that my patterns are in my brain and my thinking, there is times where, you know, it believes the lies that I let it. And if I keep seeing that people are saying that, like, it's supposed to be a certain way, I can't be, because I can do this, this, and this, whether I have all these struggles they don't see, whether I have all this stuff that isn't acknowledged or whatever, I'm supposed to be this way if I'm autistic. And that is going to put something on my heart, my brain, my stuff, whatever, to think that I need to do all that, because obviously nobody believes me, whatever. And you start to not believe in yourself because of that. So people need to watch their words and understand what that can actually do to people, and what they continue to do to themselves. Because autistics like to repeat conversations. That's not all of them. I never mean just like, oh, we all do the same thing. Obviously, this whole video is about differences. But where was I going with that? But yeah, see, autistics do this too. And again, not all of them. I lost my train of thought there. Dang you, ADHD, you suck. But yeah, my thought patterns and stuff can get negative. Oh, okay, I caught it. It got back in there, and I got that net and was like, boom, gotcha. So it just happened again. I'm getting tired. Anyways, whenever I like have a conversation with someone, or I feel like it doesn't go right, or I'm trying to process what's like I just did. So I forgot what I said, and then I forgot what I said because extreme stupid ADHD. But what I would normally do is I would like soak on that, or like something odd that I said in a conversation, or something that someone said to me that'll keep sticking out, and I'll keep like repeating that over and over, or I'll like repeat the whole conversation over. Like I remember every single thing that everybody said, and I remember what I said, and I'm like, crap, why did I do that? Like why did I do that? And so I have those moments where I'm going through that, and I'm repeating those things. And if someone says something really negative, or to me that sounds negative about, me supposed to look this way, or about not being autistic or whatever, then I keep repeating that over and over in my head. Like, oh, it's not even possible. They said it was impossible. Like nobody believes me. I'm not, whatever. And that gets stuck in there. And so I'll have moments where I'm like, well, crap. I mean, since there's so many people that, are saying this, then I'm just going to start doubting myself and think that I'm wrong, and, stop doing my videos and everything else, because it does, whatever, negative. And that's just why I think that like helping to communicate a little bit better and educate not only ourselves, but the neurotypicals. It's kind of like someone saying, oh, this is the best person in the room. And, the other person saying, well, I think the best person in the room is God. and they just got them because they just knocked what they said out the way or whatever. I don't know. But not every way that me, whatever people have learned from societal information or from TikTok or the other social medias or whatever, like about these topics, autism, neurodiversity, ADHD, or whatever, like it's just like with anything else. If you don't really know about it and you don't really have, I would say, an argument to even present or a discussion to really even say much about it, then, maybe what they're saying either is illegitimate or you need to do the research yourself so that you can check it. It's like, oh, I wrote a paper and I'm just going to turn it in. No, you don't just do that. You got to look over it, not that I write, and make sure that it actually makes sense, because I know me as an autistic and probably a lot of my autistic friends, like we like roll it around in our head over and over again until we can make sense of that. And it turns out like not everybody thinks that way. So they'll just say whatever, and it doesn't really matter all the time if it does make sense. So I'm just saying a lot of the same information over and over. I just haven't made a video in forever. So I was just like, I'm going to just make this an hour. Also, my kids are at school. I have nothing else to do with my day. I mean, there is definitely like loads of laundry that I need to fold. But you guys know that is just so hard to do sometimes. Like I hate sitting there looking at all the patterns on everything, and everything's so bright, and I have like extreme sensory overload issues and stuff like that, which turns out nobody can see from the outside unless I'm holding my ears with my hands or, dang it. Gotta plug this in. Or, I'm screaming or yelling or whatever because it's too loud. A pleasure to listen to. That's great. Because, see, I'm over here going, man, they're probably like, why am I still on this video? This is super boring. I don't know. Sometimes I bounce back and forth from, do I need them to just like, make a comedy channel or whatever, just filled with like sarcasm and memes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Or do I need to like provide education? So I guess I decided to do both without being completely aware. What can you do about your subconscious? But I would say another thing, just like with starting a YouTube channel and things like that, like there's a lot of autistics out there that have YouTube channels, they seem like super hopped up and it's all fun and whatever. And, but it doesn't happen in a second either, because like for me, I do not get on stage and stuff a lot. Like I do have stuttering sometimes, and I lose my train of thought constantly. And unfortunately in this live whole thing, I can't like cut that out like I do in all my other videos, but someone that doesn't know, I would say, much about autism, or what isn't really deep much in that world, or they're just starting to find out about themselves, they're not going to really be like super confident about wanting to get on here and just, oh, hey, I'm so whatever, and everything's great. No, whatever. No, that's just not super realistic. It took me 2.5 years of learning and research before I felt comfortable being on a YouTube channel. And, there's a group of us, Aspies, Audis, whatever, what have you, that have gotten together to lift each other up in doing videos. Like I feel like some, autistics can be guilty of of competition and all that kind of stuff as well. It's not like you're out of the question of that. But like, I think a lot of people like getting this, like how many people you have on your channel, and more of a competition of like to have a better, autism information channel, and this and that. And so a group was created by my friend Alex to put more info out there, and get more people that are on the spectrum to have a voice. And whether you're just making pictures with words or something, if you don't talk or much, or you don't want to get on here, or it takes a while to do that part, but some way of like expressing and showing your voice as an autistic individual. And he kind of helped start that so that we could all talk about and share our channels and stuff, versus like, who's going to be the most famous autistic person or whatever. That's like, whatever. And the people that do have a lot of followers and stuff like that, they didn't start out with like 15,000, 20,000 followers. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of educating themselves, and then like learning about it, and like learning different coping things so that they could give the information out, because it's like a product, and you shouldn't really sell it if you don't even know what it's like. And then next thing you know, this like leg hair product is like melting your skin off. Okay, that's a little exaggerative, but like you have to like really care and have a passion for doing that. And then, and this isn't like the platform that's like necessarily best. Sometimes I do better with just like posting pictures and doing Instagram stuff, because I might be in a time of, where it's hard to do videos. But it doesn't happen in a second. I thought that because they were like this, and they had all these followers and all this type of stuff, like, I was guilty of like, how do you even do that? Am I even going to be good enough to put information out there? Am I going to be able to help anyone? Like, is that even possible? Or am I just honestly like too far gone, or messed up to do that, or to like spread the right information? How am I even supposed to get that together? And instead, I should have just been like, oh, well, like, I'm just going to do it anyways. So that's what I started doing about a year ago, whenever I created this channel. And the point was also to get out like my story and like my side of autism, because it's different than other people's. And the more people that have channels, and the more people that try to get out information, the more you're going to see the differences, in different autistics, on how they've coped, or maybe what they struggle with, or maybe more of their strengths or whatever. And you're not just going to see all the same. So it's kind of like the shows and movies. They're putting out more characters that may be more relatable, or more, I would say, true to more of the autistics that I know anyways, to help people have a different view, perception, whatever, on autism. And if they didn't start making characters like that, people would still look back at the whatever 1990s, whatever Rain Man movie. Because things change, things adapt, information changes, information's gained, more studies are done, more studies are being done. And so you can't just latch on to what everything was back there, whenever obviously it's developed. I mean, that's a really big thing. It's like you have to keep on having growth and change in your mind to be open enough to, if something comes around that really clarifies this other part that it was missing from, then you shouldn't just like shove that over to the side and be like, well, that's not how I thought about it this whole time. You have to be able to open your mind to something else, someone else's view of how it is for them or their child. Someone could be a neurotypical and have a child on the spectrum or whatever. And to me, if I wouldn't have learned about me being autistic and me, all the stuff, all that, I would have had a really hard time understanding like what was going on with some of the things and how to help my child. And I could have been a completely neurotypical person and still done the same thing, because I can't understand them by only my way. Like, again, doesn't make any sense. You have, I'm like, feel like I'm teaching empathy and I'm, just the stereotypes around that. But that doesn't mean, because I can do that and because I can communicate this, that I'm not autistic, because I've had to learn what I didn't learn. And when you also come from a dysfunctional family and you're autistic, there's a lot of other traits. I feel like I'm doing this thing. There's a lot of other traits that you can get, a lot of other bad habits, chains, things that are collected over families, whatever, that you can also have, So I can't just work on one side and then think that the other side's going to just figure itself out. I've had to figure out how to like balance it all and work on it as a whole. And that, to be honest, some of the stuff about my autism is detrimental and it just straight up sucks. And some of it I couldn't live without and helps me be the person that I am. So, whether or not someone thinks that I am because of how I look or because of how they see me function, when it comes down to it, I have to know enough about me, excuse me, that even if they don't agree or they are not willing to learn, that I can still have that faith and believe in myself. Sorry, that coffee is just stuck in there. But hey, Mr. Mark, and thank you, Amber. That last comment. Things are all right with me and my family. Somewhat. I don't know. There's honestly a lot of drama going on in the family or whatever, and it's really tough because it's really hard to like go through grieving processes. Number one, because I don't process things very typically, and number two, because you can't even focus on grieving whenever everybody's still like fueling each other's fires and trying to explode it all. I feel like I was just explaining some sort of like Captain Underpants comic book, but that's probably because my son's obsessed with them, and now we're getting all the Dogman ones, and it just throws me back. You know what I'm saying? Because I liked those as a kid too. Ironically, they're about like two ADHD kids that have dyslexia and whatever, and it's awesome. But yeah. I am sure I could probably talk more on that subject. I feel like I like meshed like 15 different ones into it. But I'm like looking at the time and I'm almost like about to make it to the hour. So I'm going to be getting off here soon. I was glad to be able to get on and just, I don't know, get something out that's not about everything that's gone on the past couple months. Sometimes it's good to just be able to like info dump about your special interests, because that makes me feel good. Like, I'm like, I thought I was dumb forever. I actually know things. Look at me. It's not confidence completely. It's just like, I can do something cool. And so I do things with that. And I don't dampen my voice anymore, but I do need to learn when to not say things too, whatever. We can find the balance in it one of these days, but um I think next time I get on, I will not be doing a live, but I possibly will be because all options are open there on my tech right now. But I'm probably going to do a separate video for ADHD specifically, um, because it turns out when I'm like in just really crazy stress situations and things in my life, I'm way more on that area of the spectrum in my brain. And it's just the highlight of the moment. So, might as well get on and talk a little bit about that. It will not be an hour. This was insane. Because remind you, I made a video I accidentally deleted that was like 30 minutes before this. But yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that next week. Just my experience with ADHD, kind of different things that I went through with that and medications and stuff that I have learned to do. That's, hippie it up, but like that's natural, that have helped me because of the other stuff that comes sometimes with autism, like stomach issues, etc. Um, and how that can affect, like, with ADHD. So there's just so much. But yeah, then I can kind of put out a little bit more for that, because I know that some people, they have kids, or they, as adults, still don't, they may be going through trying to figure out, where they're at, if they have ADHD or on the spectrum. And there's just so much more information out there these days that there's plenty of places, that I try to pull it from to share. And yes, I have dyspraxia too. So, woohoo, go us. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you all for coming and just listen to me like blab about all of this fun stuff. If anyone says that I don't look autistic, show them this video or yourself, and maybe it'll help. If you can't verbalize, like, or you get frustrated about it and you just don't really know what to do, then you can just send them the video, and hopefully, it'll help them understand a little bit better. So anyways, see y'all later. Have a good day. Bye.